Hawks Nation, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of the HawksFanTV Podcast. I am your host, joined by my ever so handsome co-host, Mr. Derek Freese.
Up, Hawk Nation.
What's up, Hawks Nation? Yes, sir. Want to go ahead and let you guys know that with the slow news cycle right now for the Hawks, we'll probably do episodes bi-weekly for the next month or so, which is why this one, the last episode came out 2 weeks ago. There isn't much going on in the Hawks world right now, as you guys can tell. That Pascal Siakam trade, nothing new has happened. I know it was hilarious. Like Windhorst the other day was like, there may be a third team with it. And it's like, we all know that, Brian. So gotta admit, it's just kind of one of those things right now where there's just nothing going on. And that's okay. We can, I was at the Jags training camp earlier today. I see a bunch of, Hawks fans up at Flowery Branch. So point being is, we all love football around here. So it's okay that football's right around the corner. But yeah, guys, not too much going on with the Hawks right now. Really, only thing that's been kind of coming out as news here in the last week or two is something pretty exciting for myself and Derek as well, as we are legitimately considering on making a trip down there to go to this game. But the Hawks are actually now playing an international game 2 years in a row. We'll be playing the Orlando Magic in Mexico City on November 9th, which does mean that it's a regular season game. Derek was saying off air, the one last year, as everybody remembers, that was a preseason game. So, it's the importance of this game being regular season, international. I think it's awesome, man. I think it truly shows the NBA views the Hawks as one of their marquee teams and a team that, they're wanting to put on that international stage. So I think it's awesome, man. I don't know about you.
I mean, I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I'm supposed to be in New York the weekend prior, but like 10 days prior. But hey, depending on how many homes I sell here in the next couple of months, I'm legit. We might be doing a live podcast on the road in Mexico City, because what a treat that will be. To not only, and I think you're absolutely right. If not just the Hawks themselves, at least Trae Young, the league views Trae Young as a very marketable item, an international marketable item. Send him out to Abu Dhabi last year to play the Bucks in preseason, and this year, I mean, yeah, it's the Magic, but it's still, we're the ones that get to go on this international stuff. So really happy about that.
Oh yeah,
and really more happy if we get to go and do a live podcast from Mexico City.
Oh yeah. No, I'll be pumped that we make that happen, man. I don't know we will, but we'll see what happens. And really,
we got the lottery tonight. It's definitely going to
happen. Right. Exactly. We'll see if we can put it on the business card for HawksFanTV. We'll see what Alex can hook us up with. But yeah, man, it's cool that got announced. Other than that, there's not really anything going on. We got stuff, the players posting stuff on social media and whatnot. And, you can read into that pretty heavy. You can read into it not too much. It's kind of up to you at that point. I did see it was even posted today, which is, we're recording this on August the 1st. I saw today that Jalen Johnson actually posted a picture of him and LeBron in a gym together training. Hoping maybe there's a couple of videos that'll come out of that, because obviously those two dudes are incredibly explosive. LeBron a little more explosive than Jalen. I understand that. But no, man, just him training with obviously one of the greatest players of all time, and many people's eyes, the greatest of all time. I think it's impossible to not, kind of look at that and smile and be like, hell yeah, man, let's get that going. And you know what? I gotta admit, the whole, theory of having Bronny come to the Hawks in this next year's draft, I can't lie. It's looking even more likely. So, I won't think too much into it, but at the end of the day, it's pretty cool seeing one of our, young players who all of us think has a ton of potential working out with a player at the pedigree of a LeBron James. So pretty cool.
I mean, first of all, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm about to say. Jalen is not LeBron James, but they're built similarly. They're both freaks. They can both run point forward. I mean, of course, Jalen's not on LeBron James level, but to be out there with one of the greatest not one of the greatest basketball players, but one of the greatest basketball minds. Say what you want. I don't care if you're a LeBron James fan or you're a hater, you have to give respect to the man as a basketball savant. To be around that kind of knowledge and get that kind of, I'm more and more excited to really get to see like this Hawks team this year. Just all the little things keep adding up, adding up. Yes, we didn't get to see Trade, but this is only going to help us out, unless we end up having to play LeBron in like the finals, and he memorizes everything Jalen Johnson does. But I mean, we'll worry about that bridge if we ever make it that if we do make it that far.
Hey man, don't worry. The Lakers are not making the finals, so yeah, no, like I said, I won't think too much into it. But again, still pretty cool that it happened. So as you guys remember from last week, we did a little history of the Hawks. We went over that 1988 second round series between the Hawks and the Celtics. This week, I am honestly probably even more excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about with the Hawks, because to be completely honest, there may be some of you, young heads out there that haven't heard of this gentleman, but I think it's hard to be a Hawks fan at this point and not know who Spud Webb is and not know of the legend that is Spud Webb. So we're going to be talking about that 1986 slam dunk contest between Spud Webb and there was some guy named Dominique Wilkins that he was in the championship round against. So we'll get into that. Before we do though, we got to pay some bills around here. So we're gonna go ahead and let you guys hear our message from our guys over at Firmament Solutions.
When you need quick, effective, and accurate data cabling services, call Firmament Solutions. We care about your network infrastructure. Our services are white labeled, so you get the contracts. We provide the services. Our expertise includes low voltage communication, networking, electrical, physical security, and life safety equipment. We're industry leaders, providing 24-hour service coverage. So we ask, when is the best time to have one of our certified technicians assist you?
All right, guys. So as I said before the break, we will go ahead and get into that 1986 slam dunk contest. As I mentioned, it was Spud Webb winning it. The reason that, this is all so remembered and it's such a legend is because Spud Webb, for those of you that don't know, is 5'6". He's listed at 5'7" some places, but most places listed as 5'6". So you kind of decide which one you want to go with on that one. So this guy's 5'6" doing these dunks, man. I will say his dunks weren't exactly the most athletic things ever, kind of like a Dominique Wilkins or a Dr. J or a Michael Jordan at the time. But people were just, marveled at the fact that this guy who was so short at 5'6" could dunk a basketball on a 10-foot rim. So just really cool. And as I mentioned right before the break, there was some guy that, I think we all know pretty well too, named Dominique Wilkins. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He beat him in the championship round. So it's just cool that it was two Hawks players, vying for the championship. I mean, can you imagine if in the slam dunk contest this year, the championship was Onyeka and Jalen? Like, I mean, come on, that's so cool. Actually, for this to work, I guess it would be Trey and a Jalen or something, but still, you get the point, man. So it was really cool. And I'm sure for Hawks fans, we weren't lucky enough to be alive in 1986, but, any Hawks fans that were alive back then, I'm sure it was a damn cool thing to experience. So, man, it's something that, the legend and lore that it has, I think is completely deserved and earned. So I'm excited to be talking about it.
I mean, this actual slam dunk contest, besides the fact for Hawks lore, what it means to us with Dominique and Spud Webb, this is actually the dunk contest that changed the whole landscape for what it was. But I think until we get to this point, though, to go into, I think we actually got to have a quick little history on what the dunk contest is. This is only the third year of it. And in fact, from 1967 to 1976, dunks were illegal in high school and college. Illegal. And in fact, it was the first slam dunk contest ever was in 1976 with the American Basketball Association, the ABA. And it was actually because they were having real bad financial problems. They were competing with the NBA for viewership, and they were looking for a gimmick. Huh?
Sorry, I said Jackie Moon.
Jackie Moon. They were looking for a gimmick. And you know where they got inspired for this gimmick for? No other than Julius Erwin, Dr. J himself. At the time with the New York Nets. he always had a joke because at the ABA office there was a guy there by the name of Jim Keeler, and at the corporate office he was a financial analyst, and he was a black guy, and so Dr. J would joke with him is that he was the only black guy in the ABA that couldn't dunk. So while they're sitting around, they're like, wait, we are the league of dunkers. We have like the best dunkers. Why don't we just do a contest? And of course, Dr. J wins it. Later on that year, the ABA NBA merge. They do it kind of as a halftime kind of thing for a year, and then it dies. And it doesn't resurface until 1984. And fast forward to, you had Dominique wins in 85. And then then leads up to what we're about to talk to now, 1986, with Dominique and a guy who Spud was actually asked last minute, a couple days before. And he said, of course, he's going to take it because he got to go on the Johnny Carson show. And he goes, you don't turn that down. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you. And this is a little bit of the history there. But let's start. We also got to talk about, we already know about Dominique, but I don't think a lot of people know about Spud Webb. So kind of go over a little bit what you know about him. And I kind of go over, some of my.
No, man. So we'll talk about the event. Like I said, that's what we're breaking down here, that 1986 dunk contest. So let's go ahead and go through Spud's dunks, right? His first dunk was a reverse dunk that actually hit off the top of his head and went through the rim. So there was a ton of confusion at first because a lot of people were like, wait, did the ball even go in? What happened? I think that's noteworthy for a couple of things. Obviously, that's just kind of crazy that happened. One, I feel like because of his size, that's how that happened, because he's so small that he could quickly get under the rim like that with having such a monstrous dunk like that. Still got a 50. Just thought that was hilarious. It's still got a 50 across the board on that first dunk. So needless to say, the judges were very impressed, whether or not they were confused if the ball went in. His second attempt was a reverse slam as well, another 50. Again, as I said before, his dunks weren't exactly these, insane between the leg 360s, a la Vince Carter, in the early 2000s or anything like that, or especially anything like we see today, right? It was just insane that a guy that is 5'6" and, for for those of you that, 5'6" is, for an NBA player is pretty small, guys. I'm 6'4" myself. Spud Webb, I tower over him, and I'm just a regular dude. You know what I mean? So insane that he's able to do something like that at that size. So,
well, let's put this in perspective. He is one of only two players ever under 6 foot tall to win the dunk contest. The other one being, of course, Nate Robinson, who was coached by Spud Webb.
Exactly.
But I don't really think people, when you say that 360, I don't really think people understand what this moment was too. This was not only a 5'6" guy, this was a rookie. He was drafted in the 4th round back when the NBA used to have 7 rounds. Now we're down to 2. But yeah, it used to be 7 rounds. They were drafted by the Detroit Pistons. He didn't even make it to training camp. They cut him. He got picked up by the Hawks. And actually, they were trying to cut him. The coach didn't want him. Doc Rivers, there's a funny video where Doc Rivers talking about he's sitting there in a cast, first day of practice, him and Dominique are talking. And he just watched this short dude just run up and down the court faster than anything, and saw him just flying by people. And Doc turns to Dominique and says, dang, I need to get better faster because this dude's a problem. He actually had to start the first game for us, and he scored 12 points with 9 assists, if I remember right. So this guy was in his rookie year, not only 5'6", but a rookie year. Just he played for, Jimmy V at NC State, was beloved there, but this dude just came out of nowhere, and to do a 360 dunk he can't even palm the ball. That's incredible.
Right. No, it's crazy, man. It's, again, to be that size, do those dunks. The dunk that he actually won it with was an alley-oop, personal alley-oop off the backboard. Slam dunked it with one hand and, beat Dominique Wilkins in the championship round. But I will say this. I think it's worth mentioning at least the slam dunk contest was in Dallas that year. Spud Webb is from Dallas, and there was a lot of just for lack of a better term, I'll use the word controversy because people like a Gerald Wilkins and a Dominique Wilkins and these towering NBA athletes, had arguably better dunks than Spud Webb in that given contest, but Spud Webb still won. And they made the argument of that it's because the home crowd would lose it every single time he dunked it because that was his hometown. So I won't make that argument. I feel like it's I want to cover all bases here, make sure we're touching everything here. But it's at the end of the day, man, it's to me, like you said, at that point, this was the fourth slam dunk contest. Dominique won it the year before. Spud just won it in '86. So at that point, man, there's been 4 dunk contests. Excuse me, and Atlanta Hawk has won half of them, and it wasn't even the same player, right? Because the only team at that point, and for over a decade, well over a decade of the same dunk contest, there was only 2 teams that had multiple winners on it, at least a player that won it multiple times. The Hawks had Dominique Wilkins and Spud Webb, and then eventually Josh Smith. I believe it was in 2005. But the other team was the Chicago Bulls. Well, that was just one guy. It was just Michael Jordan, So I have to admit that I think, I will say it with confidence and conviction that the Atlanta Hawks were the kings of the slam dunk contest in its heyday. So we can definitely hang our hats on that one for sure.
I mean, having the human highlight reel definitely can help you. As much as we talk about how a little home cooking helped out Spud Webb here, 88 was the one where he really got screwed by the home cooking when they were in Chicago against Michael Jordan, against a former Bears player as a judge and some other like Chicago people. Like even Michael Jordan apparently came up to Dominique years later and told him, yeah, you really won that. So Dominique had the misfortune of going against 2 dudes on their home court. But what you said earlier about the better dunks and Spud, might not have the better dunks, not as explosive. He doesn't have like a dunk named after him like Dominique does with like a nuclear bomb blast, whatever he called it, one of those things. This was the year that it became a spectacle, like I said. But in the past, it was all about more of the like the high flyer guys. This was the year that really the crowd kind of did take it over, and you could actually feel. You saw it. Like I remember after he dunked for the first time, Spud played a psychological warfare in this dunk contest. Before, when everyone else was warming up, all the guys were talking about, Neek's out there throwing off the backboard, slamming it down. Spud's is out there like it's a layup line, just boom, boom. He never showed anyone at practice. He never practiced. All he did was do the stuff he already knew he could do in high school and college. It was so funny because this All-Star weekend had 2 of the greatest examples of psychological warfare on both sides. There's the Spud Webb, hey, I'm going to be unassuming. I'm going to look like nothing. And then I'm going to come in and wow you. Like to see Michael Jordan's reaction at some of Spud Webb's moves, even Dominique after his first slam, when he goes by him, Dominique looks at him like, where did that come from? The element of surprise. The other one this was also the year of the 86 3-point contest. And it was the inaugural one. And that's when Larry Bird walks into the locker room right before they go out and say, which one of y'all is coming in second? So this was a pretty big All-Star weekend. But it was
that's part of it, and you said it best. Like if you go back and watch the actual videos of it, the reactions of all the players every time Spud has one of his dunks, it's less like you see the reactions now when a dunk happens, they're all jumping up and down or doing this like that. They were all just kind of shocked, like what is happening right now? I didn't know this guy could do this. So and to kind of like relate it to something a little more current day, like you said, there's only been 2 guys ever under 6 foot that have won the same dunk contest. Most of our listeners should be old enough to remember when Nate Robinson did win his dunk contests. And I'm sure we all remember how cool that was, man. It was so cool to watch a guy that size do those kind of dunks. And Spud Webb, he paved the way for guys like that. The Nate Robinson, the Muggsy Bogues, in some ways, even the Trae Youngs, the ideas of these guys that are so small that they can't make it in the NBA because of their size. So, Spud Webb was truly, one of the pioneers of being a smaller player in the league and winning something like the dunk contest. I think, he made it a point to win it. I think he knew the importance of it. And, hey, I like I said, I'm not a short king myself, but I still look out for short kings. And I'm telling you, man, he knew what he was doing for short kings out there. He knew he was, defeating a stereotype, if you will. And that's huge, man. So that's something beautiful about sports.
Now, I will say we'll be remiss. I know we're talking about in particular this 86 slam dunk contest, but Spud Webb was a lot more than that too. The man played over 800 games in the NBA at 5'6", with a career 9.9 points per game average, 2.1 total rebounds per game, and 5.5 assists. I watched.
If you're getting out rebounded by Spud Webb, like I don't know how you're sleeping that night.
Dominique had a great story about him slamming on Kareem for the first time. Like one of the first times supposedly one of the first times he saw him dunk, but I went back and looked at, his rookie season, and they didn't even play the Lakers until after the All-Star break. But he said the whole place was in shock. Dominique said, I threw it up. Spud goes back, looks like he's about to lay it up. Kareem thinks he's going to lay up, and Spud just goes,
Yammed on him.
And he said the whole arena just goes silent for like 4 seconds, and then everyone loses their damn mind.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, man. I guess one last comment, but before we get out of here, I know we mentioned towards the beginning that Gerald Wilkins, Dominique's little brother, also was in the slam dunk contest. Gerald Wilkins ended up never winning a slam dunk contest like his brother did. And Gerald actually, averaged double-digit points in almost every single one of his seasons in the NBA, which that was a shock to me. I honestly, I'll admit that, I was a little novice on that one. I didn't realize that Gerald Wilkins was actually a damn good player, but just could never get out of the shadow of Dominique, man. So I just thought that was a pretty interesting tidbit about this slam dunk contest as well. So,
I mean, I didn't know until like a couple of years ago he had played, to be honest. I mean, it's one of those. I mean,
no disrespect. But hey, that's
another neat little factoid of this was what Terrence Stanberry won 3. He was out of the league in like 3 years, but went to 3 dunk contests.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I have the same note. It was a true dunk contest guy. Terrence played 3 full NBA seasons and participated in the dunk contest all 3 years. So it's funny. I have the same note, actually.
Placed third every year.
Yep, exactly. 3. So he was all about them threes, man. But yeah, man. Like I said, we'll go to get you guys out on that one. As I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, our next episode won't be coming out for a couple of weeks. We're going to do bi-weekly for now. Just, the news cycle's a little slow. If something does happen, if we make that Siakam trade or whatever, we'll definitely get an episode out pretty quickly. It's not that we don't want to record every week. There's just isn't too much to talk about right now. But I will go ahead and let you know that our next episode, when we do our third segment of Hawks history, I'll let you guys know that we're going to talk about Mr. Lou Hudson. Lou Hudson is actually going to be the oldest Hawk or event or whatever you want to talk about that we will cover as he played in the 70s. So he was a hell of a scorer. Was actually the Hawks leading scorer for the longest time before obviously Dominique eventually took that over. But still, it's a player that, to be completely honest, I think when I went back and watched his film, it's one of those guys like, man, he could still put up 20 points a game in today's game. So I'm really excited to talk about that, as I also think, unlike a Celtics and Hawks series and Spud Webb, maybe not too many of you have heard of Lou Hudson. So I'm really excited to get into that one. So it's going to be a good one.
He's not Lemon Pepper Lou, it's Lou Hudson.
Exactly.
Oh, one thing I did forget to tell Mac, and I just want to kind of let people know like difference between today's league and that league. Spud Webb won $12,500, which was a sixth of his salary for that year. Oh, how the times have changed. 12,500 is fine money now in the NBA.
Oh yeah, NBA has come a long way, man. It's and it's because of things like the 1986 dunk contest. So there we go, full circle, baby. We did it. But yeah, guys, we'll go ahead and get you out of here on that one. As always, we want to thank you guys for the support of HawksFanTV. You guys can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Actually, I guess it's not Twitter anymore. It's X. Follow us on X and Instagram.
Not X videos, just X.
Yeah, no X videos, just X. Follow us on X and Instagram at HawksFanTV.com. Sorry, at HawksFanTV. Check out our website at HawksFanTV.com. That's where you find all of our content, like our articles, and I did some food reviews back in the day, so definitely go check those out. But yeah, guys, be looking out for that episode coming out in a couple weeks. If not before then, if a trade or something like that happens, we'll definitely get that out. But if not, we will see you guys in a couple weeks. And as always, go Hawks, baby.
The Hawks, y'all take care now.